What is up, y'all? Welcome back to Ask the Alaskan. I'm here with Kyle, third generation Alaskan, and I'm Megan.
I'm Kyle. Welcome back, everybody. Thank you guys for subscribing and watching our videos. We've been getting a few more subscribers with each and every video, so
it's exciting.
Yeah.
I'm yelling every time we get one. We're at 62! We're at 63!
I'm so excited we had more than one.
Well, I really want to see that topless video. So once we get to that 100, y'all, you know, Kyle's already told me he's going to do it. I haven't seen him topless yet, so I'm excited.
Yep, I'm doing push-ups and all that.
Okay, so we're here today, Kyle. I wanted to ask you about gear. We were talking a lot about gear, and something that was brought up was testing your gear and the importance of knowing your gear, testing your gear. So we had a few different examples, and I would love if you explain to us the importance of testing out all of your gear here in Alaska.
Yeah, Megan brought up a good question and point. She was asking me a lot about what specific gear to take out or put in your pack for certain things like hiking or hunting and whatnot. And I get those questions all the time, especially when I'm traveling or down seeing family. They're like, well, what do you bring for this in Alaska? Or what do you do for this? But really the most important thing is not each specific piece of gear. We all know that gear guy, right? That has all the gadgets from REI or whatever store, Cabela's or whatever. What?
I said dad.
Yeah, dad.
both of our dads.
Yeah, I mean, it's good to have the right gear, but what's more important is testing your gear. So I kind of want to talk about that today. And I wouldn't, you know, point to any one piece of gear as being the be-all end-all. I would say get your stuff and go out and use it in the field, out in the woods. That's the most important concept. And so I was just gonna bring up a couple things that I like, that I've tested, and that I always just kind of keep in my pack.
Okay.
Yeah.
Give me number one.
Number one I would go over is footwear. I like to test my footwear. Everybody has a different foot, so it's very important. You know, socks and footwear, very, very important. Your feet are everything out in the field. That's what you're standing on, right? So what I've seen a lot of, and I've actually done this myself too, is you go and you get the fanciest new boot or footwear because you've seen somebody else wear it or you saw some good reviews online, and you get out there on your hunting trip you've been planning and you're walking for many miles and you're getting blisters because you didn't break them in, you didn't test the boot or the footwear. So something I always do if I buy a new piece of gear like shoes or boots is I go spend some time in them before I go out in the middle of nowhere. A lot of people are shocked when I tell them my choice for footwear, but I'm very much a minimalist, so some of what I like to wear most often is just a good cross-country shoe. Something that I am comfortable walking long distance or running in. So I like to wear these most of the time. And you know, here's just a little pack I keep around.
What you got in that pack? What you got in that pack?
Hey,
what's in that pack?
This was just set up for a recent little trip, but something I always keep in my pack is a good little water filter. I've tested it many times. There are many different types of water filters, and a lot of them work really well. I like this one because it's super tiny. I can just throw it in the pack. It doesn't weigh hardly anything. Something I always keep on my pack also is a compass, because phones can fail, batteries can die, sometimes you don't have signal out in the middle of nowhere. This is just like a little wrist compass. Another thing I always keep is a mosquito head net. Mosquitoes are absolutely horrid in Alaska. There are nightmare stories up here from people that have gone out. There was actually one story of, I don't know if this is true, but it's a legendary story of some prisoners that escaped a prison up here many years ago, and they were out there trying to spend the night in the woods, and they turned themselves in because the mosquitoes were so bad they couldn't handle it.
What?
They're like, nope, we'd rather go back to prison. So I have been in some areas where they are that bad, where you just it makes you go insane. You're like, oh, I'll do anything, you know.
Wow. Well, you said something interesting that I thought. You told me that they would basically eat a dog. I mean, not eat a dog, but they would bite a small dog.
So up north, in some areas, like above Fairbanks, up by the Arctic Circle, and up in the Brooks Range, I've worked out there before, and the mosquitoes can get so bad up there that little animals can die.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of stories like that. Something else I love that has about 1,000 different uses is a good amount of paracord. I always usually keep that with me. You can do all kinds of stuff, from building shelters to building something to start a fire with.
Wow, with a paracord?
Yes, you can do. And maybe we can make another video just on paracord.
Yeah.
There are so many uses for it. I like to build shelters with it, primarily is what I do. It can also be used in a pinch, you know, to wrap up like a splint if you have a leg or arm injury or something like that. Many, many uses. I also keep some sort of quick dry towel, or sometimes just a shemagh. Don't ask me how to spell that, but this has many uses. It can be used kind of as to protect you from the sun. On a hot day, you can soak it in water, put it around your neck. It'll keep you cool. Another thing that has many, many uses. But the main thing that I want everybody to remember is whatever gear you want to go for, get out and try it. Get outside. It's so important. I've seen so many people, you know, even with something like a gun, go shoot it before you take it hunting. Go sight it in, spend some time with that. If you have something else I've seen people do when they're hunting is they'll buy a new ATV, four-wheeler, and they've never really tested it or gone, you know, several miles in it. And they go out for a super long trip in the middle of nowhere, and Alaska is a very unforgiving place. Obviously, though, very windy today. We weren't counting on this, but things can change very quickly up here, and you can die. I mean, a lot of people do every year because they don't account for the elements out here.
It's unforgiving.
Yeah, you cannot fake it up here. There's the story of the guy, what was that movie, Into the Wild? Chris McCandless, where he goes out, and it sounded like, you know, I don't remember the full story, but it sounds like he had a little bit of outdoor experience, maybe in a different state or something like that, and he came up to Alaska, and he goes out in the middle of nowhere with a bag of rice, and he ate the wrong plants and stuff like that. I cannot emphasize the importance of getting out and trying things before going out in the middle of nowhere. Ask people, ask somebody you know that's been to that area. Do your research, you know, go on maybe some small hikes before doing a long 20-mile hike. And
well, something that I want to bring up that you told me about was you had this trip that you went on, because you're saying go out with someone and you kind of expect that person to like also have tested their gear and kind of know a little bit.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, so you trusted this guy. What happened? Tell me the story.
Great friend of mine. I love him dearly. Hopefully he'll probably watch this video, but it's so important to test the gear yourself. Don't just rely on somebody's advice, or like I said, like an online review, or even one of your best friends. You need to test stuff yourself. Yeah, there is a story where I went sheep hunting with somebody, and I didn't have a ton of time to prepare. It was kind of a last minute thing. Wasn't much planning involved on my part, and I went out. I didn't bring my sleeping bag because he's like, I got you covered. I got these new Awesome bivy sacks. For those of you who don't know what a bivy sack is, it's like a shelter for your sleeping bag, and some of them are actually incorporated with a sleeping bag. So it's a cool little minimalist type thing that you can sleep in, and you know, it's an outer layer that keeps you,
but not a tent. Yeah, so yeah, minimal, small.
It can be used in place of a tent if you have the right one.
Okay, what happens?
So we get out there, we're sleeping on top of a mountain, and you know, like I said, I trusted that this gear was good. We slept in it, get in it, and it's dumped snow on us that evening, and the bivy sacks did not work. They were not waterproof.
Oh man.
They were not well insulated. We were soaked, completely soaked.
What time of year was this? Like spring?
I think it was August.
Or fall, okay.
Yeah, so it was still summertime, but you're in the mountains, right?
Totally.
The weather can be very unpredictable. And it was absolutely miserable. So I didn't take my own advice on that one. Lesson learned.
This is the lesson.
So a lot of times, another example was I like to take this minimalist little shelter setup where I use my hiking poles as kind of a frame.
I'll show a little picture here in the video.
Yeah, and I've used it before, but I wanted to take Megan out on kind of a longer overnight hike up this big mountain, and so I wanted to make sure that we both fit in it and that she was comfortable sleeping under it, because basically it's just a tarp setup, you know, it's just a layer on the ground, and then it's a frame with a shelter, and we can go in depth in another video on that stuff also. But I set it up in the yard first so that we could test it out, and that she could get underneath it and make sure she's okay with sleeping under something super minimal like that. But like I said, I've been out there, I've tested it in the mountains, and it works really well in my opinion, and it's super lightweight. So yeah.
Okay, well that was some, wow, it's windy. That was some great information. I like all the things. Test your gear.
Yeah.
Test your gear.
We had to test these microphones before this video.
I had to learn the hard way that it needs a different thing to plug the microphones into the GoPro. Or like the wind right now. So test your gear, know your equipment. That'll help you be prepared for the wilds of Alaska. Even though it's very unpredictable and you can have all these different things happen, that's a very important part that I think a lot of people skip. A lot of people skip that part of actually just, I've done it. I've opened up a package out on something, you know, and it was like brand new. I'm like, this is not where, or like your water filter. I don't know how to use that, right? So me being prepared is like watching a video. How do I use this water filter? Because if I'm in a pinch and I don't have service and I can't look it up and I'm not with anybody, bad situation.
Yeah, there's no shortcut for good experience and spending actual time outdoors.
Thanks, Kyle.
You're welcome, Megan.
Well, thanks for watching, everybody. This was Ask the Alaskan. Make sure you like and subscribe to our videos. We'll be doing more adventures, more tips on being in the wild in Alaska.